and we thought we had this amazing niche. Like we're like, oh, we do hotels and we do car dealerships, and then COVID hit and everything was shut down. And we had
all big projects on hold.
Yeah, we had about a $15 million pipeline dry up overnight, and all of our customers said we're not moving forward with anything right now.
I mean, that would put anybody out of business. And never come back. So like, how did you navigate that?
We pivoted. I think that was like the number one word for 2020.
Did you hear that? You pivoted.
Yeah.
I think in any successful operation, you gotta master that pivot.
Yep.
We are live.
We are live. It's been a minute.
I know it's been a long time, but welcome to the Deals and Aloha podcast, where we go to local business owners and entrepreneurs, just trying to spread value and show people really what's possible. And so please subscribe, share this podcast to as many people as you can. I mean, the more people that watch it, the more people we can have a positive impact on. So we are excited today.
Very excited today because A, we haven't filmed a podcast in a minute, but B, we're talking to some really cool people. So today we have Ryno and Duckie Irwin, and I'm calling them the West Side entrepreneurial power couple.
I'll take it.
So you guys are just gonna break down who you are, what you do. Like, we're going to talk about a lot of things. So if you're interested in entrepreneurship, you're interested in value and impact, you're interested in marriage and making that work, faith, like, I feel like we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. So thanks for being here, you guys.
Thanks for the invite. We're super stoked.
We're super, super honored to have you guys here. I think there's like times in your life where we know it's all God, right? Like he puts people in your life. And from the very first moment that we met you guys, we knew like, okay, we need more of these people. Like there is a lot of synergy with what we both do, even though we're in like different fields. You know what I mean? There's a lot of tie over and crossover. So just to start, thank you so much for being here, and like super excited to dig into it.
Well, it's totally mutual for us. Like, we met you guys, we're like, oh, they're like us.
Tristyn and I practically had the same previous life in the nonprofit world.
Which is wild. Yeah, it's crazy. And we talk about it too. I feel like when you start building and you start growing and you do have some success, the circles around you do get smaller. And I feel like a lot of the times he and I have to go to the mainland to connect with like-minded people, and we're just like, where is these people locally? Where are these people locally? And we're like, oh my gosh, we found them.
You're like, and they're all the way on the west side.
Opposite side. Which is awesome.
That's so funny. But okay, I don't even know really where to start, but I think the first place to start is, what do you guys do?
I always riff off of you, so.
Well, maybe just a little bit background.
Give a little background.
I was born in California, moved to Maui really young. My dad was a helicopter pilot, so I followed him to Maui when I was 7, and grew up there. And then about 18 years ago, because of the business I'm in, which was construction, I moved to Oahu. And I was looking for like the most affordable area that I could be close by the beach. And someone referred me to this little place called Makaha. And they're like, oh, you can get a rental for $500 on the beach. I'm like, that sounds like a Craigslist scam. But sure enough, it was true. And so that's where I put my roots down. And I met this fine young lady from the West Side.
Wow.
Yeah, true West Side girl.
I never left. So.
Didn't just move there, grew up there, was raised there, 5th generation West Side.
Wow.
And so, I've tried to live in other places. I lived on Maui. I lived on the Big Island. I was in the mainland for school, but West Side just calls you back home. Home is home, right? And lo and behold, God brought him into my neighborhood, and literally I was the girl next door. And that's how we met. His parents were direct neighbors with my parents.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I bought a house in that neighborhood, and my parents said, you got to have a house blessing. It was like a foreclosure house.
Yep.
And so I'm like, well, who do I invite? Because, I don't really want to invite my friends.
Yeah.
Like, it just was kind of weird. And he's like, we'll invite all the neighbors.
Yeah.
And so look who showed up.
No.
I did.
Is that how you
That's how we
first met?
The very first time we met was at our house blessing.
Wow.
We just didn't know that it was
You didn't know
our
it
first
then.
time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you like good. How long
super
ago
cool.
was that?
Ooh, 13 years ago.
At least, yeah.
Wow, that's
awesome.
so cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to tell you guys our meeting story.
Because it's not a house blessing, but parents were involved.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's
okay.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Parents do know best sometimes.
Yeah. It was an answered prayer, though. I literally been, was praying for the right
The
girl.
right girl.
The right girl.
A godly girl.
Yeah.
Good morals. Yeah.
Was it one of those things where it was like love at first sight, or how was
Like
it?
for one of you it was, right?
It was attraction at first.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Where do you live?
Yeah.
Wait, right next door.
It's really funny, though. Like, thank God our parents weren't involved, because my dad was actually trying to hook him up with my sister.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, when I first met her, her dad, he's like, oh, you should meet my daughter. And I'm like, okay.
He was a little confused because my sister and I do look similar.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And we would go running at night with like twin border collies.
Yeah.
And he was like, which one is it that I'm supposed to meet? Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
So
Okay.
what were you doing at that time? Were you just in
Just working
construction?
construction?
At
Yeah,
that time?
we were doing a lot of construction for facility maintenance for retail stores at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, like Starbucks, CVS Long's Drugs.
Yeah.
So big commercial kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what were you doing at that time?
So you met, that was 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were you doing?
So I had actually just moved back from Maui.
Okay.
And I was a public relations manager there at the Sheraton Maui, and just was brought back home. And so I was kind of in my Kalohe days.
Yeah.
We all have those.
We all have those.
Yeah. And I was doing marketing for Marriott at the time on Oahu.
Nice.
And when we met, it's funny, he actually tried to recruit me right off the bat to come work for the company. Yeah.
It was a good intro to get the number.
It was. And I was like, I just want to have fun right now. I don't want another.
Yeah.
I don't want another thing.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's
So you were
classic.
kind of like in tourism and marketing.
Yes. That's
Did
my
you go to
background.
school for that?
I went to school for journalism and literature.
Oh, okay.
I love the written word, the spoken word. I wanted to be a professor of literature. Just read books all day and,
Oh, you would get along with his mom.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually came back and I did a stint at KHON, and I was just thrown right into the fire, and it was chasing down attempted murderers and,
What?
trying to get comments out of grieving people who just went through traumatic events. And I realized, I don't know if I'm cut out for
Yeah.
this.
That's rugged.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. That's sensitive work right there.
Yeah. So I just went to the other side of journalism. I went to PR.
Yeah.
A lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you made a transition at some point.
Yeah. So what happened was our clients were increasingly asking us to do more work, like different types of work, because they were having a hard time finding reliable contractors in Hawaii. Can you imagine? Yeah.
I mean-
And so we built a good relationship, and they said, hey, can you do these doors for us? And we got a door license and we put in doors for them. And then they said, we really need to cut down our energy costs in Hawaii. How do we do that? And so we started doing energy efficiency upgrades. And then at some point they said, can you guys put in solar for us? And that's
how it started.
That's
right
how
there.
it started. And I just come from the mind frame of don't say no, just figure it out. So if it's an opportunity, find a way to do it.
Dude, I love that you said don't say no, just figure it out. Especially if you, and I found that, I think that's how we're in the position that we're in now. If the opportunity presents itself and you've prayed on it and the door remains open, it's like, why are you saying no?
Yeah.
Like, say yes and figure it out. And hence have a TV show because we said yes and we figured it out. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's just one of the special qualities that you need to be an entrepreneur.
100.
Right. And I think being uncomfortable is something that you have to get comfortable doing, right? And so a lot of times you might not know everything. I think a lot of times people are like, I need to be perfect. I need to know everything before I can do this thing.
Before I take that
but like,
step.
dude, we're telling you right now,
You don't.
like it's a lot of action, figure
Learning
it out.
as you go.
Learn as you go along the way, right?
Yeah.
Take massive action.
Totally.
I see a lot of people, get hindered and get wrapped around the axle trying to, master something before they jump into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And really the best way to learn is to do it.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
So in one of our personal development classes that we just did recently, one of the things that they would drill down to us is what you know doesn't matter nearly as much as what you take action on.
Ooh,
that.
that's so good.
Yes.
Yep.
So good. And I think that goes hand in hand with faith and just knowing that God has equipped you for whatever's in front of you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's cool. But so personal development. I know you guys are personal development junkies. So are we, right? I mean, why is that piece important?
I think it's the never stop learning, right? And you had said, get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's like anything, they call it growing pains, but I think people don't really dig into what that means.
Yeah.
You got to be uncomfortable to grow. It's going to be a little bit painful sometimes,
or a lot of it painful.
Yeah. And otherwise you get complacent. And then like we say, if you're not growing, you're decaying.
Yep.
So,
absolutely.
It's that continuous journey of wanting to learn and learn more and more and more.
Yeah.
And, as entrepreneurs, I think what I've learned is it doesn't have to happen the way we were traditionally taught in a textbook. Like there's so many resources now available to us. So anything you want to learn about, you can very quickly and easily. You just have to apply yourself and get uncomfortable in those situations to make it happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Where do you guys think that your entrepreneurship bug or instinct came from? Like, who has that? Who has it more? Or is it equal?
Or did it come over time?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did it develop over time?
I think he was born with it, but I think we come from completely opposite ends of the spectrum.
Ooh, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. What do you mean by that?
Okay, well, ask Ryno what his very first business was, and he was in the 5th or 7th grade slanging Jackson chameleons.
Jackson chameleons? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I
had a gig.
Okay.
I was trading Sega Genesis games for Jackson's, because I would already overstay my friends' allowance for me to pick Jacksons out of their trees.
Yeah.
They're like, come on, that's all you want to do. And I'm like, I'm selling these things.
Yeah. This is my business.
7th grade.
So I would get Jacksons. I would buy the ficus tree at the hardware store. I'd get the spray bottle, buy all the mealworms. And then my parents, they loved to host people over at their house. So they would have these small parties.
Yeah.
And I'd wait till my parents' friends got a little buzzed. And then,
Smart.
And then I'm like, hey, check this out. Watch this Jackson eat this moth.
Yeah.
And then they would see it. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I'm like, well, you could take it home with you. The whole thing. Yeah, today for $100.
Crazy.
And then 4 days later, they'd be calling me like, hey, Ryno, I can't take care of the Jackson. You can just have it back. It's fine.
Resale. It's a renewable resource.
Oh my God.
So,
you were born with it.
Yeah.
Oh. I am probably what we'd call a product person.
Okay.
I just love being in a creation space. And so I get really excited about different ideas and things that God downloads to me. So I'm not necessarily the person that's going to get very excited about something and then go out and tell all of my neighbors and friends. I'm that person that's going to go into my workshop and just create and just put in the work and so I think we have actually a really good dynamic going here.
I think so too.
Yeah, he gets really excited about things and wants to go out and shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
And I want to just create something that's bomb,
And she's grounding for me because, she.
Okay, so it's like you're the visionary and you're the integrator. Have you guys read the book Rocket Fuel?
No.
Oh,
gotta read it.
Thanks. We will.
So he and I come from very different worlds too, but I think we're both pretty entrepreneurial and we're both very dominant and visionary. And so when we started real estate investing, because he was running his own business in retail with his brother.
Yeah.
And then I had been an entrepreneur because I think I was born with it, seeing my parents and my dad. And so I was running my own nonprofit and doing my own thing. And then when we came together, we knew how to be in a marriage together, but we didn't know how to work and run a business together, because those are two very different things.
We know.
Yeah, I know. We'll get into yours, I'm sure. But we were just bucking heads, you know what I mean? Because it was like, my way's the right way. He's like, his way is the right way. But we're both trying to get to the same destination. We just think our way is better. But it wasn't until we read that book, Rocket Fuel, that made us understand that in any successful, I mean, from Disney to McDonald's, there was always a visionary and an integrator. And the visionary is the one that you normally see that has more of like that sexy role, that gets excited, goes out and talks to everybody and does that.
The face of the company kind of a thing.
But the integrator, nothing happens without them. And I had to accept that integrator more role, because I had that skill set that he never had. He has only vision. Visionary is like the chaotic, I want to run through walls, like ideas. And then the integrator.
Go shout it from the rooftop.
The integrator.
Is anyone getting really tired just thinking about that?
And then the integrator is like, okay, well, how are we going to do this? Like, let's make sure we can execute and run like the back end, right? So I have both of those skill sets. He has visionary skill set. So it was like,
we're the same person.
Yeah. So I had to, but I'm like, I had a lot of ego coming from my own business, being the visionary, and I had my integrator, my other business. So I'm like, I feel like I was being demoted. You know what I mean? But that was just me mentally, because ain't nothing happening without me. So it was like, no, this is actually an empowering role.
That was something I had to learn, was to take the lead from Ryno.
Yes.
Because actually you asked what I was doing, when we met.
Yeah.
But at that time, what he didn't realize is that a few months into our relationship, I was going to move to the Big Island.
Oh, no way.
I already had plans to open up a destination wedding company.
Oh, crazy.
And so I held on to that for like maybe a few years into our marriage.
Yeah.
When
she left. I was like, wait.
Yeah. So we were doing distance even all the way through our engagement until we got married. And a few years into our marriage, right after, I don't know what it was that prompted it, but he was like, oh, you were looking for a marketing person. And he was like, look, we're like going in two different directions right here. We need to come together.
Yeah.
And you have the brain for this.
I don't.
I don't want to hire somebody else that I know isn't going to do as good of a job.
Right.
And so I went into the business kicking and screaming. And just like you guys, we had to learn which lanes we
You said it, though, lanes. And then you can obviously come to an intersection when you need to, but I think lanes is what really allowed us to be successful in our partnership, So
I mean, I think the biggest thing for us was we needed to make sure that we were very, very crystal clear on where we were going. So like when we saw the bigger picture and exactly where we were going, and we literally sat down and mapped out how we were going to get there, we figured out what roles each other needed to take, but we're still marching in that same direction. And that was like everything for us.
Yeah.
We have a word for that.
What is it?
Missional marriage?
Missional marriage.
Missional marriage.
Yeah.
That's what we have. That's what we call it.
It's like the big calling that's on the marriage, the purpose, God's calling.
Totally.
Yeah.
We don't have to be in the same vehicle even. We just need to be going to the same destination.
I love that. I feel it's really the only way for success and fruit to come. Is through missional marriage. Yeah. Okay, so you came kicking and screaming into the business. Then what happened? And this business that you're talking about is the solar.
It's the construction company, the facility maintenance, and then solar got bolted on.
Okay. It quickly became a big bolt.
like a real big bolt.
It did. Yeah, it became my passion too, was the thing. When I realized like the benefits of it and how it's helping, our community, but also our businesses and the planet, I really was starting to enjoy it. And like you, I just dived in 100%. Like, I want to know everything about it. I want to know from how to build it. How does the financing work? Everything I could know.
So, I mean, you were already running the successful construction company, right? You guys already had, and you bolted the solar on. Was it like a easy kind of transition to bolt it on, or was like there specific challenges that you guys were facing?
It was a weird time for the industry because we got into it like 2012, and for the rest of the industry, residentially, it was the worst time to be in solar because the utility was starting to put in measures to close down the net energy metering, all the basically incentives for residents to go solar.
Got it.
So we just had to really focus on commercial and industrial, which was already our client base, our core. So that's where we put all of our focus. And then it pretty much, they call it the solar dark ages of Hawaii because nothing happened. The whole industry died.
Wow.
Yeah, until 2019. And that's when batteries became viable and financeable. And that's when residential solar was reborn.
Started going.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because I hear you talk about being in the commercial space for a really long time first, right? Well, for a few years first, and then during COVID, is that when the residential?
2019, 2020.
Yeah. Then so that's when we actually started residential in 2019 again, and it was like a supplemental side of the business. We would use residential solar to fill the gaps between the big commercial projects because they're like peaks and valleys, right? You do a big project and you're waiting for the next one to start, and then COVID hit. And we thought we had this amazing niche. Like we're like, oh, we do hotels and we do car dealerships. And then COVID hit and everything was shut down. Yeah. And we had
all big projects on hold.
Yeah, we had about a $15 million pipeline dry up overnight. And all of our customers said, we're not moving forward with anything right now.
I mean, that would put anybody out of business.
Yeah.
And never come back. So like, how did you navigate that?
We pivoted. I think that was like the number one word for 2020.
Did you hear that? You pivoted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in any successful operation, you got to master that pivot.
Yep.
Because you got to have a plan A, you got to have a plan B. You know what I mean? You can't. And I feel like he and I, just taking it back to real estate, it's like if we had pivoted in some of our previous transactions when we were getting started, things would have had a better outcome. But because we just had one plan, the blinders on, it had to go this way. We couldn't see that there was actually other options. But you have to learn the master of the pivot.
Yep.
I think that's a very interesting skill to have, though, because it's a balance between not putting enough time into something to figure it out and pivoting right away, right? So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but like I see a lot of times people like say, okay, I'm gonna do this thing, and they go and do the thing. They do it kind of inconsistently and not for long enough. And then they stop and they're like, okay, let me do this other thing. Like I'm gonna pivot to this other
thing. So there's a difference, right?
That's abandonment.
Exactly. But I see it all too often in entrepreneurship because, dude, people give up like right before.
Too soon.
This is something totally different, but I
know
see that happening all the time.
There's a difference between giving up too soon and having to pivot.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's layers of that, right? Totally. In entrepreneurship. And there's also what we call the shiny penny theory, right? Or syndrome.
Squirrel syndrome.
Yeah.
How many of those shiny pennies do you have in your pocket, baby? No.
That's been something I really had to do as an entrepreneur is just, keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
Don't get distracted, especially when you have something that's going good.
Yes.
Totally.
Yes.
Yeah.
God also calls us to take new territory as well. So I
just
think
have to be careful and prayerful. Like that's been a big thing that she's helped me with a lot. Is like, well, did you pray on it? I'm like, well, no.
Yeah.
But I really want to do it. She's like, let's take some time.
Slow your roll.
Yeah.
Oh man, I feel that. And we talk to a lot of people about that because in real estate, there's so many different things that you can do and people want to do all of them at the same time, or they tried this one for 3 months and it's not working. So they want to try this one and this one and this one. Like, it's like, no. That's called shiny object syndrome. Yeah. Just focus on this for this amount of time and I guarantee success, or you'll get the fruit of your label. You'll get proof of concept, but they give up too soon.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's to the generation that is coming up now.
Immediate satisfaction, right?
Exactly.
There's no delayed gratification.
There's a lot of entitlement and it's literally like everything right now. But you think about it, Like you can jump on YouTube and like get an instant hit of something immediately, or TikTok or Instagram, you know, like when we were growing up, we
Society's
just never ever had that, like ever. So it's definitely a different time that we grow up in. And I think that's why it's even so much more important for us to be doing this kind of stuff, right? Because our schools still haven't caught up. Our schools are still teaching the kids the same way that they've always taught them. They're literally trying to breed employees, and that's what it is, worker bees, right? And so that's why this kind of stuff is so important.
Yes.
And that's why we don't feel bad about our kids having to tag along with us when we go on business trips and different things like that, because that's really where they're going to learn the most.
Absolutely.
I mean, even our son, he's 11, he's already, or 12, sorry, he's already solar certified at 12.
Love that. That's so cool.
Blows Ryno's mind in just his business acumen. I mean, it's like the only way you learn that, I mean, you're born with it a little bit, but it's exposure.
Yes.
Right? So
and it's a refined skill. And you're right, you only learn that from being in those spaces and watching it and hearing those conversations.
And we didn't even know that he was learning all this. Like it was, you know, he's been so exposed to it, but one day we're in the car and we just asked him like, hey, do you know what dad does? You know, and then, he's like, you know, what's my role? He knew everything. Like he just like, he knew what my role was, what my responsibility was, what we do, how we do it. Like he was so
different
detailed.
Roles in the company and what their functions are. We're like,
he was just picking everything up, you know, and it just hit us like, wow, he's the one that will take over the company one day. Like,
we'll let you know when ours are so young. But I agree with you. Like, I don't feel bad taking my kids out of school to go on trips and get cultured. I don't feel bad about, I mean, they might not like it at the time, but they go with us to job sites all the time. They go with us to appointments. It is what it is, because I know when they're 11, 12, 10, they already know, like, how do mommy and daddy make money? How can you create money? You know what I mean? Like those conversations are fluid in our household. And I even have to catch myself sometimes because relationship with money is tricky. I think culturally you don't talk about money in a household. And then when you bring in like how God views money and how society views money, and how we were raised, you know, it's like you don't talk about money. You know, it's disrespectful, or I was always told
boastful. You know, I was always told
money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work hard for it. But I'm like, yeah, but you can. Now I know skills that can create money passively, that you don't have to work 80 hours to get a paycheck. You know what I mean? So I want that my kids to have that knowledge, and it starts now. You know, with them just watching with what we do. Yeah, that's crazy. You guys had kids pretty early on in your marriage, then, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So did we. So did we. Yeah. So did you take time off, or were you already marketing for them? Like, how did that all work? And like, are you still doing that full time? Because you're wearing a sash, girl. Like, what, you got a lot going on. Like, what is Duckie's world?
My sister is like, every time I call her, and I'm like, I have to tell you something. She's like, oh my gosh, now what?
Not again.
That's my mom.
Yeah. She's like, I don't know. You just say you want things to slow down, but every time I talk to you, there's something new. Right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is about being kind of sensitive to the promptings of the Holy Spirit. And a lot of times I go to a place where if I have absolute, I guess, not assurance, but like, if I'm resolved or resolute in the fact that God is telling me something, I'm afraid to say no. Right?
Yeah.
And so that's where the sash came to be. I didn't know anything about pageantry. I didn't know that, you know, I actually had a complete misconception about what it was.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people do. Yeah.
And so, you know, we spoke of personal development. We're actually in a 90-day goal achievement course, and they were, you know, challenging us to break through our limiting beliefs and to set a 1-year goal that would help you break through those. And so we were in a place where I was just sort of lost in, I was, you know, so dutiful and ingrained in the nonprofit and everything else we had going on. I didn't really have any personal goals. And so
I know what that feels like.
Yeah. And so because I didn't have any goals, they gave me a challenge and they said, you should run for Mrs. Hawaii.
No way.
And I was like, right before that, I told Ryno, because I had quit that morning. I quit the program.
Quit the program. I had to talk her back in. Yeah. And that's like the one thing that when you agree to start the 90-day program, that's the one agreement. You cannot quit.
You cannot quit. Yeah. Because everyone wants to quit at some point.
Oh, I'm sure, because it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. So I said, fine, I'll come back as long as they don't make me run for a pageant or something like that.
That's exactly what her words were.
Exact words. God's like, mwahaha.
He's like, so you think?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, he confirmed it 3 times in that day within the space of
Isn't it funny when God just confirms stuff? You're like, okay, I have no choice here.
Yeah. But I mean, the pageantry is really like personal development on steroids. You're literally put in a pressure cooker, and it's a challenge between you and yourself.
Yeah.
In many different facets to just be the best that you can be. Just the relationships that have been built, the network, the growth on even like social platforms, and the ability to really amplify the work that God's commissioned us to do, the messaging, all of that has been insane. So now I'm like a pageant junkie. I'm like, let's write a book about pageantry. You know, I don't know. But yeah, it's busy, and somehow you get capacity, but it doesn't happen if it's only one person's supporting it.
Got it.
Like,
you had to buy all in.
Ryno had to go all in.
Yeah.
And I think that was a shift for us too.
Huge, because she was my support person in the business.
Got it.
Right. And like, this is a whole new lane, like not even a lane, but like almost a detour. I was like, wait, what's happening?
What's going on?
You're like, I said I wanted to quit.
So definitely had to take a backseat and a support role for her to go through that journey. And also then become a little bit more self-reliant, which was difficult too. You know, wait, I need my help.
He needs his integrator. Nothing happens without the integrator.
Totally.
But it was a good process for us to go through, for sure.
And how long ago was that? Like, how long have you been doing pageantry?
So I jumped all in about 2 years ago. I had, in a weird series of events, I actually ended up going as a delegate for Hawaii. So I was gifted the Hawaii title to represent Hawaii at the national pageant on a national stage. And I had no idea what I was doing.
And she had 90 days till the national.
Yeah. Oh my
only 90 days, right? That you had.
No, it was 8 weeks.
That's less.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So, you know, I went up there. I learned a lot. I made it to the finals.
Wow.
And that was nice.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
And then I was like, that wasn't good enough. And so I, you know, maybe 6 months after the pageant, I decided I wanted to go back. And I wanted to go back on a clean energy platform because that's what we do. It's our bread and butter.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate. We actually just came out of pageant a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I think I'm proud of what we did.
Yeah.
We got top 3, so second runner up.
Dude, love that.
People's Choice and the Style Award. I'm like, with the Style Award? How did that even happen? Yeah. So, I think that what's happened, I think since we've been able to say yes to some of these things, and him having the faith and grace to let me kind of branch out a little bit. I think it's made our roles, like, we're a lot more equally yoked and complementary.
I love that you said equally yoked. What do you mean by that for people that don't understand biblically what that means? I know. I know.
Yeah. It's just like with your tires, right? If you have a low tire and one is inflated or overinflated, whatever, you're not going to move efficiently. One is going to hold the other down.
And one could pop.
And one could pop. Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, to be equally yoked is really to both come into your gifting that God has given you so that you're both able to operate in whatever that is.
I love that. Yeah.
I love that. Love that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I taking it a little bit back to like the pivot and the solar, the journey. I mean, you're like a fire hose of information. so like,
wait,
when we
can I ask you about your nonprofit before we go over there? Sure. Because you mentioned nonprofit.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
This was another one I had to really take my husband's lead on. with the nonprofit.
Really?
We agreed that we wanted to, that we needed to start pouring into our community because we were seeing blessings on blessings, right?
In the business.
But what happened was I wanted to make a church. I'm like, let's make a church. He's like, no, I think we need to actually provide construction education because this is our community needs opportunities.
Love that.
We have a growing workforce. And so I said, okay, let's do that. And I realized I could still do my ministry within that space. So that was another thing that I just had to be developed from the ground up. So we are duly accredited. We can train in over 70 different craft trades. We work with our at-risk youth, our Native Hawaiian community, and we've put almost 250 students through our programs.
So
100% grant funded.
So when did that start? When did you guys start that?
Because pageantry was 2 years ago.
2019.
Okay.
2019.
Oh, right around the same time.
Yeah.
Wow.
19. I think our first classes kicked off in 2020 during COVID.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's right when we went all in on residential solar.
Right.
As a pivot. That was the pivot.
Yeah.
What's the name of the nonprofit?
Makaha Learning Center.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
I come from that world too. So right when I found out you're like in the nonprofit world, I was like, oh my gosh, bless your heart. Because that world is hard. That is a hard world. And I know what it's like. I remember us talking about like writing grants and like what the grind, you know, but it's totally mission based. It's totally about impact for communities because I don't come from that education space in the nonprofit sector and like vocational training. I come from that substance abuse and trying to get people to stay clean and sober, but similar populations. Yeah. So
it's a labor of love.
Yeah.
It sure is. It sure is.
But it's so gratifying to see the students go through those programs.
Oh, there's nothing better than success stories out of those.
And you wouldn't like even imagine the things that they're challenged with that's actually preventing them from growing and succeeding. Like we have students that have told us like, we're like, where are you at? Because we like get their numbers, right?
Oh,
First thing, when you sign up with us, what's your cell phone number? You don't show up to class, we're calling you, we're paging. We're texting you saying, why aren't you in class?
Yeah.
We've had students say like, oh, I'm sorry, uncle. I couldn't wash my clothes and they're too stink to come to class.
That's so crazy.
They're living in abandoned homes or
yeah.
And these are barriers.
Yeah, big time.
Things that we don't think about sometimes. Like
totally.
It could be a barrier for growth.
Yeah.
But if we get them through that and we can overcome those things and you just see them grow, it's very gratifying to see that.
You're not just teaching them a vocation, you're changing their life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like, and he and I have recently gone through this and we always said this, but it came from personal development and understanding our why and our calling and our mission and all of that, and doing that development type work to understand your purpose and all of that, right? It was always like when we get to a level of success or you get this momentum in your business, like you got to start sharing. You got to start teaching because now you understand and have skills that could help other people. And it's like, if you don't do that and you don't share that, it's like you're being selfish. Who are you? Right?
It becomes a responsibility, I feel like, right?
100.
And I think for us, our story, which resonates with a lot of people, is that we were struggling when we got started, when we found real estate investing. But our focus was to just not struggle at first. Right. Like it was like, okay, I want to provide a life, money, right? Provide a life for my wife and our family. Like that's the goal, right? And I think the crazy thing is like once you do that, something changes in you. Like when you're no longer just thinking about going like survival, right?
Because we operate on that as entrepreneurs, I think a lot. But then like this shift, this pivot has to occur when you're no longer surviving.
And I think it's important for you to realize that and for it to happen, because money can't be your driving factor. Money is a tool that we all need to use, and it's a very powerful tool. But if you're planning on being in business for the long term, and creating something that's going to last generations. There has to be something driving it besides the want for money. You know what I mean? And I think that's what we realized, and then understood that behind all of that, there was a passion to have a positive impact on our local communities. And like, that's what really fills our cup. You know what I mean? And it sounds like that's exactly what you guys did.
And that's why we started Deals and Aloha, right? And the podcast and the meetups and all that. But it sounds exactly similar. That's why you guys started the nonprofit.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, from the for-profit perspective, the more successful Hawaii Unified can be, the more we can pour in to the nonprofit.
Absolutely. Yeah. I totally get that. Okay. So you started a nonprofit, and this was 2019. It's the same same time you really started going all into renewable energy and solar. So take us down. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. But before we do that, because she did this to me.
Oh, yeah.
I literally want to let the viewers know, like, how can they get involved in that nonprofit?
Oh, yes.
How do they, if they have somebody they think would be a good fit, like, what do they do?
So makahalearning.org, that's MAKAHA learning.org. Like, I don't know where the viewers are from. If Makaha is totally foreign, right?
Yes. No, totally. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, on there, there's ways to connect. You can apply for our programs on there. You can make donations. And you know what? People reach out for a variety of reasons. And a lot of people offer their services like, hey, you know what? We have some jobs for your students when they're done, or we help people with interview skills and, you know, the whole gamut of things. Totally. So we would love to add you as a resource, and, or, you know, whatever you have, whether that's giving or sharing your time, you know,
just connect,
or joining the programs.
We need students too.
Okay. So makahalearning.org.
Yep. And so what we focus on primarily is our core construction classes, and also our solar technician classes. And the reason that we focus so much on that is not just because we're in the space, but we've learned very early on that there's a huge amount of opportunity that's coming with this energy transition. And that means jobs. And so right now, the need for qualified solar people is outpacing nursing.
Wow.
You know, that's insane.
That is insane.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Well, I think then that's kind of a good segue back into the solar side. And I mean, I would just ask the same question she did. Like, what is it about solar? Like, why is it?
Why did you find this passion in solar? What is it for people that can't assume people totally understand it, because we didn't? You know what I mean?
And you might think, you know, on the surface that you understand
it's not just solar panels, people.
And it wasn't really till we pivoted from the commercial side to the focus on the residential side out of a necessity. You know, as a CEO of a company, when COVID hit, it like broke my heart, because we were looking at having to lay off so many people. And as a, you know, the CEO, that was my one responsibility that I took so seriously, is like creating jobs and keeping jobs and creating opportunity. So that's why we said, okay, well, people are home. They're still trying to work from home. Their energy bills are up. Let's just focus on the residential side. But when we dove into that industry more, we noticed that there was a lot of things that we didn't like, the way that it was operating. And specifically, that was in Hawaii. There was a lot of mainland sellers that were coming into Hawaii, and they would do like these blitzes, and they would be door knocking, and then they would leave afterwards with all the commissions that they made.
Got it.
So they just ship people down here, door knock, sell solar, and bounce out.
And the further was, wait, let me.
You're good.
One of the things that came along with that is that they weren't necessarily professional solar people either. They were professional salespeople, but they didn't really know a lot about solar. And so what they were designing or proposing or selling to our community, our kamaaina, our kapuna, was not the best solution for them.
Oh my goodness.
That's
crazy. Really kind of tainted the market. And it's a frustration for us, because we need to turn to renewables. And the quickest way to empower the masses is through solar.
Right. Isn't it a mandate that we have to be 100%
renewable? So either people can do it and get energy independent, save money, or the utility will do it, and nothing.
Nothing
really
will change necessarily for our community. Yeah, and that was the other side, is we really wanted to see our community members benefit from it. And what we also realized about solar is that there is a good incentive for people to sell solar.
Yeah,
it has a good commission that is behind it, because the theory is that it's a industry that a lot of people don't really know too much about, so you have to educate the customer.
They just don't understand.
Yeah, so I think that, part of our passion was being able to give opportunities to our local community to be able to be a part of that transition, spread the good news about going clean energy, and then get rewarded for that, so that the commissions and all of the benefit stays here.
Yeah. And that's what I recognized, is that the best solar companies in the country were built off of referrals. So what we were trying to figure out, okay, if there's like a incentive or a commission paid, how do we incentivize our local community to take advantage of this and not have these outsiders coming in and taking the money back? How can we give them the opportunity to do what we already do, which is refer people, or share a good thing with the Coconut Wireless, people they know, so that's why we became really focused on how can we train our local community to take advantage of this energy transition, and not just help people save money, but also make money in the industry.
Oh my gosh, there's so much shit.
I know. Was it a big transition from the commercial space to the residential space? Did you literally have to build like a whole nother business?
Whole nother department.
Nother department.
Within the company. Definitely. Totally different business. Commercial's very relational, and it takes like a year to land a contract. It was very multi-million-dollar contracts sometimes.
Yes.
And residential is more transactional. It's faster, and you need to be able to show the value really quick. And so they understand it and can move forward. Yeah.
And then when you're now thinking about the layers in, with the construction side and the DPP and, dealing with a whole slew of individual customers, it's really different. But I would say that the technology and the mechanics and all of that is just a different scale.
Totally.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So you think, they were coming in here just trying to design the package that made them the most money?
Either the most money or that would look the most attractive on paper.
Got it.
Like the lowest payment maybe. Yeah. But that wasn't the best design system for the individual. That was going to bring the long-term value for them and get them, the best results.
Right.
Yeah.
So why is now such a critical time for people to start really going in this solar direction? Like, the environment is kind of tumultuous to say the least. And why should people be thinking solar now more than ever?
Well, as an energy expert, I can say that we are literally in an energy crisis in Hawaii. It's not necessarily being called that, but that's the state of affairs. Our utility is facing, they just announced a $2 billion settlement for what happened in Lahaina. Where do you think that money's going to come from? To pay for that from our community members, our homeowners, our renters, and then on top of that, we don't have enough energy being produced to supply all the needs in Hawaii right now. And that's why we're having frequent shutoffs in power. Where, they're shutting down the power because they can't deliver it. And then on top of that, because of what happened in Lahaina, as a safety measure now, they have the public safety shutoff program where if there is hazardous fire conditions, they're going to turn the power off again. So, early on, it used to always be the focus of how much money can I save about when I go solar. Now it's like, how do I get energy security? How do I get energy independence? Like, if I have temperature controlled medication in my refrigerator and this utility is going to shut my power off without any notice, how am I going to make sure that that's not going to spoil when I need it? Insulin, for example.
Right. I think,
I was just going to say, I think it comes down to, it's the right thing to do for the environment, number one. But beyond that, everybody has a different motivation for going solar. And typically, solar just is a better way. The way we've done things for the last 100+ years isn't the way we should continue to do things. And so, you know, he was touching on that person who's literally, it's life or death if their medications spoil, right? Half of Puerto Rico doesn't have power right now because they had a tropical storm blow through, right? And so people have different motivations, but I think at the end of the day, there's just there's just multi-benefits you're going to get when you make that decision. And for us, I mean, any way that we can help people stay in Hawaii, save money here and there, I mean, that's a motivation for us.
Well, let's talk about that, right? Because there's so many benefits, and I just want to like break them down one by one. You know what I mean? So talk about how it can really help lower utility costs so that it's a fixed cost and your HECO bill doesn't come back at $1,000 when you're already struggling to survive here.
That's right. So energy costs in Hawaii is the second highest cost of running a household. Right next to the mortgage or the rent.
Right.
And one of the biggest factors in that is that when they open up the envelope, they don't know what it's going to be inside.
No,
it's a surprise.
It changes.
Never know.
Right? Someone could have left the AC on for a couple of days, and it could be $100 more than it was last month, or $200 more.
Or how many times are you like, make sure you turn off the lights? My mom, turn off the lights.
How many less fights would we have?
So, you know, and not to mention, you know, historically, our rates have risen about 14% per year over the last 15 years.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's insane.
Imagine if that was your landlord and they raised your rent 14%.
I know.
What would you do? How long would you stay in that house?
Right.
And you'd be very highly motivated to go buy a home, and so you can know what your fixed mortgage payment is every month. Right? That's what solar provides. Right. So instead of having, you know, the landlord energy utility, right, the energy landlord, now you can fix your costs because you can go solar, and we call it like a bill swap or an anyways expense. Like you're going to pay it anyways. Right.
Yeah.
You need to pay it. So you can either, you know, continue to pay the utility where your rates could go up and year over year, or you can swap that bill for a bill that you know what the price is going to be for the next 25 years. And ideally it's already less than what you're paying today.
Right.
Totally.
And I mean, how can people really create a budget? And because it all starts with financial education, right? And the basics of a budget. How can you create a solid budget if your utility bill one month is $500 and then it jumps up to $800 and then it's back down? You can't. You know? So, okay, that's one massive benefit. You said energy security.
That's huge.
Go ahead. You can speak on energy.
I mean, you talked about Puerto Rico having no power. You talked about rolling outages here. There's really not security in that. We want to know that not at all. We turn our light on and get our light on to turn on.
Well, you want to think about this even from a bigger holistic approach. 70% of all of our energy in Hawaii is produced by fossil fuels. We import more fossil fuels than 2 times of all other goods into this island.
That's so crazy.
Right? So imagine what would happen.
That's scary.
If those boats stopped for a week or 2 weeks.
Right.
Every system in Hawaii would shut down.
Yes.
It's, you know, when the power goes out, I'm just praying that the kids' iPads are charged. You know, right? Like just
totally.
Everything is electrified these days. We cannot function without electricity, without Wi-Fi, and power is what makes it all
everything go. That's the day and age we live in. It's not going to change.
And it's not just about convenience. Right? But it's about, it literally is life and death. When we were in Maui responding to the wildfires, the thing that struck us so much was like the thank yous that we got from customers that had solar and backup, because they became resources to their community. They were able to keep their vehicles charged if they had EV. They were able to keep breast milk chilled and insulin chilled.
People that needed all the medication, like come over to my house.
You don't realize how what you need until you don't have it.
That's exactly it.
That was gonna be my question. I'm like, so it all sounds like it's a no-brainer for every single person.
Why isn't everyone doing it?
What holds people back? Like, what is it?
Like, what's a common misconception?
I think that it costs too much. You know, there's that price barrier, or they've heard bad stories like we talked about because other people have bought solar and
from these companies that
It wasn't designed correctly, you know. So yeah, there's a misconception. And again, this is why we always come from an education standpoint. Like we want our customers to understand every aspect of it so they know when they make that decision, they're 100% confident in it. And then they get the results that they were looking for.
Yeah.
And I think that you can't be disappointed if you know exactly what to expect. Right. You've heard the people that say, I have solar, but I still have a HECO bill.
Yeah.
Right. It wasn't explained to them that you don't get is just not like an endless supply of energy. The system is sized specifically for your needs.
Totally.
That at that moment in time and maybe up to the next 5 years or whatever it is that you plan for. Right. So education really is something that we take seriously.
If they're going to add 4 AC units and run them 24 hours a day, like
if you're going to build an additional ADU,
not just your solar panel. You're going to have extra.
And that's the kind of conversation that we like to have, is to understand not what you're doing today, but what are you going to be doing over the next 5 years? Like, let's start there. Are you going to get an electric vehicle, for instance, right? Because that's going to take a lot of energy to charge that, fill up that gas tank every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to talk about this because we talked about a bunch of the benefits, but there's also for people that maybe they have solar or they're interested in like growing wealth, right? There's a lot of tax incentives with solar as well.
I'm like, there's other benefits too here.
So like what, say for somebody that's in like our position where we have some houses, some rental properties, and we want to utilize solar to gain all of those benefits.
Well, it's like, why should every real estate investor should be utilizing solar as well? Why are they not? Like, do they just don't understand the benefits?
They don't understand the benefits that the big time investors already know and have been using for years. The BlackRocks, the Morgan and Stanley, they're all investing in renewable energy. There's a reason for that. And it's because there's a lot of government tax credits and incentives that are behind it.
Love that.
And if there's strategies and ways to structure it to make sure that you're maximizing and you're doing it correctly. That's what we teach. That's what we work with, like investors like you, real estate, developers.
Totally. And you guys, there are so many. We could literally just do a podcast. And we sat down with Ryno.
He's got to get Ryno on a whiteboard.
I was going to say the notepad.
And I'm telling you, it will blow your mind. So like at the end of this podcast, we're going to direct you guys somewhere. If you're interested in any way about, especially this specifically, please reach out.
But you also do webinars to educate people every week, right?
Every week. And that's about our platform. And that's really one of the things that also makes us unique in our company and our approach to solar is, we talked about how we wanted to see our community members benefit from this energy transition that's happening no matter what it's happening, right? We have a mandate, 100% renewable energy by 2045. So how do we help the community? So we brought a platform over here called Power. I actually pursued the company Power for about 1.5 years to come to Hawaii. Because I saw what it was and what it could bring to our community and how it could benefit us. And the way that it works is our community members can get an electric bill from one of their neighbors, coworkers, or even themselves. They submit it to the platform, and then we'll do a full analysis and evaluation on how much money they would save and what is the right way to design the system for them. And for doing that, for just submitting to the platform, they can be eligible for a nice commission that can bring supplemental income to their household.
Which is awesome. Which is unreal.
Which is another benefit for the community. You can make income and not even have to sell solar.
It's like, if I'm thinking about this as an opportunity, I don't necessarily want another job. I'm busy enough as it is. But I'll hustle a little bit if it means that I help one person go solar a month and now my kids go to private school.
Right.
I like to think in terms of realities.
Realities. Absolutely. I mean, I feel like it's all about maximizing your time and having a return on your time. And that seems like a really good return on your time. And they always say, right, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income.
That's right.
If you just have one, that's not enough.
Especially in Hawaii.
especially in Hawaii. And understanding how to create wealth and how to have different revenue streams and how to not just trade time for money. You know what I mean? This falls directly into wealth strategy and wealth building.
Totally. But I think even more important than that, whenever you can find something where you can have a positive impact on your community and your environment and the people around you, and also make money and grow wealth.
That's the win-win. That's the right vehicle to be in.
There's nothing better than that. And I think it's important because a lot of people yearn for the ability to do that, and not everybody. A lot of people get stuck having to work and doing something they don't necessarily love or whatever it is, right? But when we found real estate investing, we were like, dude, we're able to have a massive positive impact on a bunch of people and our local community, and we're teaching these people how to actually live and thrive here. And we're also creating a special life for our family. Like, let's do more of that. And then when you came in and we're like, this is a whole nother thing that does exactly what we want to do. You know what I mean?
Well, this is the exact thing that we always preach. When you know better, you do better.
Yes.
And solar is a way of doing things better. You know what I mean? And so you're only like limited to the information that you have in the next relationship that you have. And so like I that's why we need to pump this type of information out there to the community so that it spreads like not like wildfire, but like it spreads, you know what I mean? So that more people can make better decisions that will impact their life for the positive.
And I think a lot of times people just don't really think about it that much unless they're faced with, I can't pay my electric bill. Or I'm out of power because a storm came through. That's when people really start thinking about it. And that's not enough for us to really make impact. You know, we need people to start thinking about it because people are spreading the word.
Yes.
You know, they're sharing their testimonies and benefiting at the same time.
That's why we love this platform, because it's inclusive. You don't have to have any solar knowledge or experience to benefit from it. We've seen all different types of people in different industries. It could be a real estate agent that worked with, you know, people that bought homes from them. And now they're going back and saying, hey, let me get a copy of your bill for that new home and see if we can help save some money. So it makes it easier to pay the mortgage. Right. And then they submit that bill. That extra $2,000-$3,000 a month that they might make could be the difference between being priced out of paradise and being priced into paradise.
Absolutely.
100%.
And then we have the retirees that are on a fixed income.
Like my parents who just actually helped someone today and they're in Canada. Like they went to Canada on vacation and they get the good news that someone's moving forward. I mean, they're retired.
And they just paid for their vacation.
I mean, that's a huge.
And that homeowner that they got to help is saving $200 a month on electricity costs. And it's like, crazy. So they
what
win.
Is 2 times 12? Right? That's a lot of money.
It is.
Wow.
So it is the true win. I like, because we always look at business and what we learn in personal development. You never want to do a business deal that's not a win-win.
Win-win.
We're the same.
Gotta be a win-win.
Gotta be.
But what we love about this is the trifecta. It's like a win-win-win. Yeah,
it really has a ripple effect in a positive way to everybody involved.
Yeah.
So who's right for solar? Is it everybody? Who's right to refer? Who's right to try and sell? Like,
Right now in Hawaii, anyone that owns a single family home, and we're working on more programs to help renters, and that's by working. Huge. Yeah, we got to work with the landlords, and they got to see how they can help their renters, right? But also our strategy, like I shared with you about being an investor, how they can actually benefit from being the provider of energy to their renters.
100%,
right? So now it incentivizes them to actually help their tenants. Save money. So that's another side. And then as far as, taking advantage of the opportunity that the platform provides that we brought here with Power, that could be anybody. Like we said, it's very inclusive. It's just, who do you know that needs solar?
Right.
We all do. We all
it's everyone.
Do you use energy?
Yes.
Literally everybody.
The lights are on right now.
That's crazy. So, I mean, how many... Let's see this, because I've heard you talk about this before, but like how much solar is in Hawaii and how much more
is like needed.
Can there potentially be?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Great point. So right now, the stats that I've got is that there's about 560,000 single family homes across the state.
Okay.
About 30% already have solar. We have a very mature solar market here.
Okay.
However, what we've seen in our business is 30% of all of our sales are people that have solar and are adding more plus battery.
Wow. Okay.
So they're not new customers.
They're not. Yeah, 30% are not new.
They've seen the benefit of solar. They love solar. They're using more energy.
Yeah. That
totally.
is so interesting.
Or batteries, because batteries weren't on, like there weren't any
not
kind
in
of
the first
batteries for a long
wave
time.
of
the
first generation.
wave.
Yeah, so now people are adding batteries because they want that energy security now.
Yes.
Right.
Which is a benefit.
Yeah. So,
And that's a, huge opportunity here at home in the islands, but the opportunity across the states.
All over.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty.
Enormous.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of this platform that we brought to Hawaii. So when we looked at the market as a whole, as we move to 100% renewable energy over the next 5 to 10 years, there's about $3 billion of commissions that will change hands in Hawaii. And that's our goal.
Hawaii alone.
Yeah, we want to keep that money here.
Yeah.
in
To
Hawaii.
our communities, to our local people,
Exactly.
to our economy.
Yep. And the platform also allows us to help people in the mainland go solar. So we're not just restricted to Hawaii. There's 23 other states that the platform is open to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
So it's like you have an uncle in Ohio or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, uncle,
Florida.
let me help
I
you.
know some people that have houses in Florida.
I know some.
I know a lot of people that have houses in Florida.
There's a lot of sun in Florida.
There's a lot of sun in Florida.
There is.
Okay, so let's talk about that, because you met with our business partner,
Yes.
April. What kind of, because that's like a common, I feel like, meeting that you would have with someone that's like just exploring the option. What were some of her common questions she asked? I haven't debriefed with her on this either. No.
How does it save me money? You know? Yeah. And so it all starts with, we need to get a copy of the electric bill.
Okay.
Right.
Because that really gives us the baseline and it gives us the data that we need to do a thorough analysis. So that's really what we're always asking. Like, please send me a copy of your electric bill. We'll see how much energy you actually used in the last 12 months, and then we can base it off.
Okay. So it starts with your electric bill. And then on average, though, is there like an average on how much people save, or is it different every time?
In Hawaii, it's about 20 to 30%.
That's a lot.
Yeah. In the mainland, it's the rates are lower, the utility rates are lower, so they're not going to generally save as much from day one, but it's over the period of time as the rates continue to rise, they will save more. But again, what we're seeing in the mainland, Florida, Texas, Puerto Rico, the drive is not necessarily savings anymore. It's energy security. It's having that battery backup. That becomes the focus.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking about, you said Florida, Puerto Rico, hurricane like central.
Yeah. Even Texas now.
Even Texas. Yeah. Where like they're losing power. It's huge impact to them. Okay. What other questions do you commonly get asked?
Well, like you said, if they're in that real estate investment mindset, they're asking me, how do we make money with this? How can we make some extra money?
Okay. I think that people have a lot of questions about some of the tax incentives or like what's the difference between leasing a system or buying a system.
And that's a really good.
This all, these are the things that we go through that's important to understand their lifestyle. How long are they going to stay in their home? All of those things so that we can suggest the right system. And I think that's been a downfall, with the quick sale in the past.
Yeah.
There was not enough time and effort put into necessarily understanding those things.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, there are so many, I can't even tell you how many solar companies knock on our door.
Yeah.
Like
especially in these like Kailua. Oh my gosh, dude. I think it's too because we have new roofs. So
they got a good roof on there. Oh, they got 200 amp question. I see they're upgraded electrical.
We have 200 amp upgrade already. This one's prime for solar.
That's a low fruit.
Like, let me knock this door. But what makes it different, what makes your guys' solar company different, is you guys are local.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And we're working with local people, and the people that are on our platform are local. So it's local people helping local people.
Totally.
You don't want to tarnish your reputation with auntie's best friend or whatever,
Totally.
bridges in Hawaii. No way.
Oh, your name and reputation
literally
is everything.
Everything is reputation here too. I mean, in general, relationships are like the most important thing. We all understand that, but in Hawaii, it is so, it's like on steroids. We have Coconut Wireless, like you talked about it earlier. Like, you do wrong to this person, everybody knows about it. You know what I mean? And you could be done before you even started. So it's just that important.
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing better though than supporting local and knowing that that money is staying here, just like you guys have said time and time again. And that is what can empower people, empower communities, and it's aligned with the Priced Into Paradise that you guys are also a part of, which is going down October 26th.
October 26th. Super excited.
Yes, that was a super cool Zoom.
Yesterday.
Like, got me all riled up.
It was cool to just see all the faces.
And hearing the people that are involved, I was like, this is gonna be so good.
And that wasn't even everyone. That's so cool.
No, that wasn't even everyone.
It's gonna be a blast.
So if you are interested in home buying, wealth creation, investing in real estate, understanding renovation, this is the seminar to go to. Totally free for you.
Yes.
I'm going to get an education.
More personal development. So, I mean, you guys have seen, since we met and we've been talking about all the benefits of this industry, solar. You guys have jumped in.
We're going solar, people.
In a big way, right?
In a huge way.
Yeah, for all your properties.
100%.
To the point that you have even created your own energy brand.
Energy company.
Which is part of it. If you're going to be on the investment side and you got multiple properties, you want to have your own energy company. And so tell me about that.
I mean, DNA Energy Co.
DNA Energy Co. I mean, I think it's like I was talking about earlier. Like, we look for opportunities that we can have and create those win-win situations and win-win-win situations, right? And so anything that is like synergistic and something with such a powerful mission into what we believe in, the environment, sustainability, and then helping other local families make some extra money,
save money,
and have more security. I think a lot of times people just get stuck in doing what they've always done. And I think that's the hardest thing, right? Is like, it's just, this is how it always has been done. So it's harder to like jump off that train than to just keep going, even if keeping going is going to hurt you. You know what I mean?
It's the complacency. It's the comfort.
Comfortable on the couch.
But we fully bought in from the beginning, and I think
it was a no-brainer.
You
really didn't even have to think about it. It was like, you presented all of these benefits, and as a real estate investor and somebody just thinking about constant win-win-win opportunities, this made sense. And I know it can make sense for auntie, uncle, mom, dad, cousin, anybody. You know what I mean? Whether you're a real estate investor or not. This makes sense. You know?
And if you're like me, I'm like, all right, let me take all of that and try to prove you wrong. But no, that's the thing about this. It's just, it's a great, I mean, everything about it is good. And there is a responsibility to do things the right way and for us to transition in this energy space in the right way. But I think that's what's so powerful about this is that when you involve your community, then you will do things in the right way.
Absolutely.
Right? Because everybody has it's like skin in the game. Skin in the game.
Totally.
Well, I always go back to this: when you know better, you do better, and you're only like limited to your options or your choices by the information that you have. So like, if you have this information and this vehicle, you can perpetuate that can have a ripple effect, like we talked, to yourself, to your family, to your community, and then it can spread beyond that. And I'm all about having our local people have more choice and have more control. And this is just another way to do that, is through renewable energy, through solar. You know what I mean? So that's why DNA Energy Co was founded, and we're like all in. All in.
So you have the ability now for your viewers that you can actually help them get a free evaluation on their savings that they would get from going solar. They go to DNAenergyco.com.
I was going to ask you, I'm like, what is it again?
DNAenergyco.com.
Yes. Yeah. And then there's a form they can quickly fill out, and they can even upload their bill with that form. And then you guys can provide them with a free energy savings report to see, does it make sense?
Does it make sense for you?
Exactly. Yeah. So to reiterate, you can go to DNAenergyco.com. You can get a free evaluation by uploading your bill and see what is right for you, how much you can save, and then you also have opportunity right there to see how you can create money for yourself.
Yep.
Yep.
As a income opportunity.
As an income opportunity. Like nothing better than that. So we went all in. We're putting solar on a bunch of our property, and everyone should.
Yeah.
Literally. This one's got to get
literally. I know. Yeah. I think I sent you this bill.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Well, and my father has a Tesla. My father-in-law has a Tesla, and he is charging that bad boy up. I'm like, we got to get solar on this house.
Already, I know.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I am very honored to have you guys on the podcast. And
how can people find you? Do you want to be found?
I'm not sure if we can hide anymore. At Duckie Irwin on Instagram.
Perfect.
Love that.
Where I reside.
Yeah.
And at Ryno Irwin.
That's very simple.
Yeah.
Instagram's easy.
So I mean, all things Hawaii Unified Construction, all things power solar for you, all things.
Everything.
Everything of that and the
Makaha Learning Center, pageantry, and all of that.
Yep. And Duckie's going to be actually putting a program through the Makaha Learning Center to help women get into pageantry.
Oh, that is
nice.
so cool.
It's a new development. Yes.
He's like, you're not supposed to talk about that yet.
Yeah. we're actually going to be providing scholarships, and we're going to be bringing the Pacific region together with Hawaii to have a beautiful bang out event with fashion show and all kinds of things coming up.
That's cool.
In February.
Oh, so cool.
Nice.
What a cool way to like empower women. I love that. I love that.
And we do so much work with the boys, right?
Yeah.
We need something for the girls.
We need something for the girls.
Something for the girls.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask you one more question though before we end. And I asked it to every guest, is what is the one thing that you would hope to leave with the audience? That's it.
Yeah, I know it's hard, right?
Seek
you
God
can take
first.
some time.
That drop the mic, done.
Love. I always say
seek God first.
Love God, love others.
And we can always get sidetracked because we're so busy and entrepreneurial minded. That's why I'm so thankful for my wife, because she's always reminding me and grounding me like, hey,
back to the source.
Yeah. Did you pray about this? What is the purpose? How are we benefiting, the kingdom? Like, is this fit in with an alignment with God?
Yeah.
Those are the questions, because we can get sidetracked
easily
off course.
Well, people don't understand is if it's aligned with God and it's His will, it's unstoppable.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's going to bless it.
It already is. You just need to walk into it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a perfect place to end. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we know where we can find you guys. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I think this will add a ton of value to the community. And we're excited to introduce DNA Energy Co.
To the world. To the world.
And honestly, guys, this is literally just the beginning. Yes. And if you want to be a part of it, and you need to please reach out, because this is... It's important, man. If we care about our state, we care about our world, our environment, and our keiki. There's nothing more important. So,
alrighty.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. Come on. We're stoked to be here. Yeah.
Awesome.
Aloha.
All right, you guys.
Everybody.
Choo.
It's all good.